Have you ever wondered what would happen if Yoriichi was Tanjiro's dad? Let's be honest now, in the beginning of the series, the author tricked every single person who was watching it to believe that Yoriichi was Tanjiro's father. But what if this theory was actually a reality? How would this even happen? And how would this sudden turn of events affect the entire story of Demon Slayer as we know it? Will Tanjiro master sun breathing earlier in the show and defeat Muzan? Or will Yoriichi have to step up and do what he couldn't do centuries ago? Well, I've been thinking all week about this scenario, and I think this would be the perfect story. First and foremost, we gotta ask the question, how would this even happen? Well, in this scenario, we will assume the plausible theory of reincarnation. In Demon Slayer, especially during the last chapters, reincarnation was confirmed to be true since most of the cast, especially the Demon Slayers, got reincarnated in modern times. So how does reincarnation play into the story? Well, let's say that Yoriichi was actually reincarnated as Tanjiro Kamado. Ultimately, everything will be the same except his passing due to an illness. But before we continue, take note that moving forward, we'll be calling him Yoriichi instead of Tanjiro to avoid a lot of confusion. Take note, however, Yoriichi would not have his previous life's memories until one of his performances of the Hinokami Kagura. That is where all his memories come flooding back to him, including sun breathing, his past life, his previous wife, and even his death. However, in this scenario, his powers are limited or even beginner due to not having any training with his body. So what does Yoriichi do now that he's regained his memories? Well, absolutely nothing, which is actually smart. He'll know that once he shows that he has the potential to use sun breathing, his current family will be at risk, as Muzan will surely hunt them down. He'll continue to live his life as Tanjiro Kamado, but what's the difference? Well, he won't die because of an illness like Tanjiro did, and Yoriichi would also avoid teaching Tanjiro the Hinokami Kagura as much as possible. However, will their lives always be that peaceful? Well, not so much. You see, we want a bit of suspense in our stories, and it's still definitely the case of this video. Yoriichi would accompany Tanjiro to get some coal down the mountains, and just like in the main series, they stop at Saburo's house, since he warned them that it's dangerous at night because of demons. Yoriichi would most likely agree with Saburo because he knows firsthand how dangerous demons can be. But as we all know, when they arrive at their house the next day, their entire family is massacred, and Nezuko turns into a demon. Fortunately, Yoriichi is here, but how would he handle a demonized Nezuko? Well, Yoriichi would instantly be conflicted, but seeing as how he was so aloof during his time as a demon slayer, he would probably decide to kill Nezuko to save Tanjiro. But Tanjiro fights back, saying that they won't kill his little sister. Yoriichi would reluctantly agree, and both of them successfully restrain her before Giyu arrives. Giyu suggests the same thing, which is to kill Nezuko, but Yoriichi would stop him, and they both fight it out. So would Yoriichi in his current state beat Giyu? Well, you have to take note that in the manga, Tanjiro, who already had a disease, was able to kill a 9-foot bear with just an axe. So Yoriichi, who's healthy, can possibly be an even match or take down Giyu. In the end, Giyu would agree with the father and son's decision and recommend them to Urokodaki. Yoriichi and Tanjiro would train under Urokodaki, so would Yoriichi use water breathing? Well, Yoriichi would most probably relearn sun breathing and won't use sun breathing at all. Tanjiro would learn a bit of water breathing, but would eventually transition to sun breathing, as well as just like his father. So what exactly is Urokodaki's role in this? Well, Urokodaki would most probably stick to teaching them the fundamentals of breathing techniques instead of the forms of water breathing itself. Yoriichi, who already has his past memories, would most probably finish the final selection first, while Tanjiro would soon follow. Because of this, Tanjiro would learn all the forms of sun breathing earlier in the series, and he would most probably be stronger than he was ever before. Yoriichi wouldn't exactly be in his prime because he's still adjusting, but he'll be soon, so stick around to find out what happens next because something at the end will shock you. After the final selection, they would meet the Swamp Demon in the Kidnapper's Bog arc. They travel with Nezuko, of course, and now the duo is stronger than ever. What would happen in this arc? Well, let's say that the Swamp Demon would stand no chance. While they may be trapped inside the Demono's domain, it's nothing too troubling for them, and in the end, they might even save Satoko, who was the girl the Swamp Demon killed. Moving on, we'll go to the Asakusa arc. So what would happen here? Well, one of the most interesting revelations within the series occurs in this arc. Yes, it's when they meet Michael Jackson for the first time. As they meet Muzan, he'll have even more PTSD when he realizes not only is there one demon slayer who looks like Yoriichi, but now there are two! Yoriichi would recognize his face seeing as he was the one who gave him that PTSD. So does Yoriichi kill Muzan right here? Well, not quite. Muzan would most likely escape and Yoriichi and Tanjiro then meet Tamayo and Yushiro. Tamayo recognizes Yoriichi's aura, but will most probably write it off as a coincidence. Here they write it off as a coincidence against Susumaru and Yahaba. But now that Yoriichi is there and Tanjiro got a massive buff, the two demons prove no more than to be slight annoyances. Once the Asakusa arc, another interesting change would happen in the next one. So what is it? Well, in the Suzumi Anshin arc, they'd still meet Inosuke and Zenitsu, and Kill Guy would just be fodder. But I'm not talking about that one. I'm talking about the Mount Natagumo arc, where they face off against their final boss level enemy, Rui. In this arc, Tanjiro, Yoriichi, Nezuko, Zenitsu, and Inosuke would face off against the Spider Demon family. Here, Yoriichi would quickly lead the charge against the demons. They meet the legendary Murata, and they split up according to Yoriichi's plans. But we all know Zenitsu got left behind. Here, they first encounter the Mother Spider Demon. Tanjiro and Inosuke would hold off the Mother Spider Demon's monstrous doll as Yoriichi delivers the killing blow. As they move further into the mountain, they'll eventually encounter the Father Spider Demon, while Zenitsu meets the Brother Spider Demon. Not much changes when it comes to Zenitsu's events, and he still one-shots the demon. But what would change is how they fight against the Father Spider Demon. But what exactly is this divergence? Well, now that Yoriichi's here and Tanjiro has sun breathing, they won't struggle as much. Tanjiro would still be thrown away, but this time, Yoriichi is there to help Inosuke beat the Father Spider Demon. After they beat it, they rush to Tanjiro's location, where they meet Giyu along the way. Tanjiro meets Rui and they fight to the death. But what surprises Rui is just how strong Tanjiro really is. Keep in mind, Tanjiro in the original series managed to cut through Rui's threads using Hinokami Kagura. So how much more if he used sun breathing? Even without Nezuko's help, Tanjiro would successfully cut apart Rui's threads and decapitate him, or at least buy some time until Giyu and the others arrive to finish him off. Yoriichi being reincarnated has made the Demon Slayers fight a whole lot easier, but how would they fare in one of the deadliest arcs in the series? Well, here, in the Mugen Train arc, after the Demon Slayer Corps accepted Nezuko as a demon, they accompany Rengoku in investigating incidents in the Mugen Train. Rengoku's particularly interested in the father and son duo, since he's familiar with the breathing technique they use. So what happens in the Mugen Train now that Yoriichi is here? Well, they fight against Enmu would become a whole lot easier. After they wake up, Yoriichi and Tanjiro would most probably be the ones to fight against Enmu. They would successfully kill him, and all the passengers would be safe. But we all know a much bigger threat is coming by, and that's Akaza. Would Yoriichi's presence save Rengoku from becoming a donut? Well, Yoriichi, now that he has accumulated more experience and is accustomed to his current state, is probably as strong as a Hashira. When Akaza arrives, both he and Rengoku would serve as the vanguard, while Tanjiro and the others watch from a distance. The fight would be intense, and it would seem like Akaza would have the upper hand in the first few minutes of the fight. But we didn't mention something, you might have missed it. Do you know what it is? Yes, we didn't mention anything about the Demon Slayer marks, and Yoriichi has it as well. At this moment, when the fight reaches its climax, Yoriichi would activate his Demon Slayer mark, and the tides of the fight will change. But that's not all, because in order for the Demon Slayer mark to manifest, one of the key factors is to have another marked Slayer near you. So that's why Rengoku's never managed to manifest his mark, but now that Yoriichi is here, things will change. Yoriichi and Rengoku both activate their marks, and Akaza will be defeated as both of them blitz him. Muzan is down in Upper Moon Demon, and the Demon Slayers aren't stopping. Because of their recent success in defeating the Upper Moons, Yoriichi along with Tanjiro and the others get assigned with Tengen to investigate the Entertainment District. So how do the events of the Entertainment District arc unfold? Well, to say the least, the fight will be much easier, and Tengen won't probably lose an arm. In the original series, even with Tanjiro not mastering sun breathing, they were able to defeat the Upper Moon's 6 siblings, but now that Yoriichi has the Demon Slayer mark and Tanjiro is powered up, Daki and Gyutaro stand no chance at winning. And it would be the same with the Swordsmith Village arc, but why? Well, even if Yoriichi isn't present in this arc, Tanjiro would be strong enough to make a difference. But the outcome would still be the same. Moichiro and Mitsuri unlock their marks, they defeat Gyoko and Hantengo, and Muzan discovers that Nezuko is the key in order for him to become the perfect being. The Demon Slayers are on a win streak, Muzan has lost most of his Upper Moons, and the Corps is planning on delivering the final blow. And this brings us to the climax of the entire series and the beginning of the end, the final battle. In order to lure Muzan, just like in the main series, Kagaya Ubayashiki uses himself and his family as bait, and they turn their mansion into a bomb. As it explodes, all the demon slayers arrive and they attack Tamayo, holding off Muzan as they attack all together. However, all of them are pulled inside the Infinity Castle when the real battle starts. Inside the Infinity Castle, the demon slayers face off against the remaining upper-ranked demons. But is there something different compared to the original series? Well, Akaza isn't here anymore, so there's no one left for Tanjiro. Yoriichi and Gyu left to fight. Rengoku and Tenjin are also alive and kicking. This means that the matchups will go like this: Shinobu and Rengoku versus Doma, Nakime versus Obanai and Mitsuri, Kaigaku versus Zenitsu, and Kokushibo will face the rest. First up in the Shinobu and Rengoku against Doma fight, of course, since Shinobu is no longer alone, she will maybe be spared from her horrifying fate. Rengoku and Shinobu would hold Doma long enough for Kanao and Inosuke to arrive, but did you know that Doma was defeated because Shinobu sacrificed her life in the original series? And now that she's alive, how will they defeat the Upper Moon too? Well, at the end of the day, Shinobu must sacrifice herself so that the others can behead Doma, and so she did! Nakime versus Obanai and Mitsuri along with Kaigaku versus Zenitsu would have much of a difference. The Lovebirds would defeat Nakime with the help of Yushrip, while Zenitsu would still one-shot Kaigaku using his newly developed thunder-breathing form. This brings us to the battle against Kokushibo, but something interesting will happen here. So, what is it? Well, Kokushibo would sense something familiar and realize that it is indeed Yoriichi who was reincarnated. Yoriichi would make the other Hashiras sit on the sidelines as both he and Kokushibo engage in a one-on-one duel, just like old times. Yoriichi is here to finish what he started, and Kokushibo is here to prove that after 500 years, he can finally defeat his brother. The two take their first attacks, and in the blink of an eye, Yoriichi uses all the 12 forms of sun breathing to activate the 13th form, and successfully decapitates Kokushibo. Aside from Shinobu's death and a wounded Obanai and Mitsuri, the Hashiras are still fresh and eager to finish things once and for all. They meet Muzan and the final battle starts. You might think that Yoriichi would blitz Muzan, but for the sake of the story, let's say Yoriichi has exhausted his stamina against Kokushibo after he used the 13th form of sun breathing. Nonetheless, they push on. Yoriichi and Tanjiro take the lead, so what will the outcome of this clash be? Well, they successfully manage to hold Muzan until the sun rises, which causes his death. He especially won't be able to turn Tanjiro into Demon King Tanjiro because Yoriichi would grab every opportunity to save his son. At the end of the bloody battle, a handful of Hashiras would still die, but the world becomes a better place now that the demons aren't around. And after all that, the story comes to an end. Be sure to smash that like button, subscribe, and click the notification bell for more videos like this one. Until next time, peace!